In this video, we're going to talk about creating the Bootstrap grid. So let's start by going to our frame tool. So click the frame tool at the bottom, and let's go ahead and we'll choose a desktop, which is 1440 by 1024. What we want to do is create our grids, our 12 column grids. So you do need to have the actual frame selected, and then you're going to scroll down all the way to layout guides down here at the bottom. You turn on a layout guide by clicking on it, and it's going to automatically add a grid here. We want to switch from a grid to columns. Okay, so switch from grid to columns, and we want 12 columns. Bootstrap operates off of 12 columns. Okay, its default is going to be color. If you want to change the color, it's here, and this is opacity, and we have it set to stretch, which is fine. We do want to correct the gutters though. The default gutters, you can think of them as 30. Each column has 15 pixels of padding on either side. This is loosely speaking. It's slightly different, but for our case here, this is fine, so 30. So, and then we also need, you can see here it's stretching, so we're not getting it on the edges. So here on the edge, we do need a margin also of 15. Okay, so once you do that, you can see here our grid has 15. Each column has 15, so it's 15 and 15. So when two columns are together, that creates 30. So that is our 12 column guide that is stretched out. Okay, that's going to be for container fluid, full screen containers. Now, again, if you don't have the actual desktop frame selected in your options on the right, you're not going to see it. So click on your actual frame, then you can see it here. There is an eyeball here. You can click the eyeball and turn that one off. And in layout guide, go ahead and hit the plus sign again, and we're going to create a second grid. This time, we're going to create, again, 12 columns. Okay. But in this case here, we want to go ahead and have it set to center. And we need to define the width of our columns. Okay, so for that, we need to go to Bootstrap containers, and we're using Bootstrap 5. And right here, it tells us that the container, we're using a screen of 1440 now. So our container is going to be full screen until it hits these dimensions here. So in our case here, we're greater than 1400. So what's going to happen to the container is the max size a container can be is 1320 pixels. Okay, so once we hit 1401 in our screen width, it automatically will limit the container width to 1320, and it's going to go ahead and start centering it. Okay, so that's our target size here. So here what we want to do is, we want to define the width, and if you do 1320, okay, it's going to apply that to each individual column. So obviously that's not correct. So what we need to do is reduce that down. So for example, if I put it at 100, it makes each column 100 here. So it's still too wide. And the reason being, because if you think about it, there's 12 columns, that's 1,200 pixels, right? But it's counting all of these, the space in between it in that number. So again, we're going to pop back in here, click the little column icon to pull it back up. And we want to do some math here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up a calculator. Okay. And what we want to do is we have 12 columns. So it's 12, and we have 30 pixels in between. So 12 times 30 is going to be 360. So what we want to do is do 1320. That's the max size of our container minus 360 is going to give us 960. That's how many pixels we have, and we're going to divide that by 12, and that gives us 80 pixels. So each column has to be 80 pixels wide. So back in our grid here, again, pop it open. We're going to reduce it to 80 pixels wide and tab out of that and correct our gutters to be 30 again. Okay, and there we go. This is our grid now. It's 12 columns with the gutter of 30, and we want to test it. To do that, let's get a rectangle, and we'll just go ahead and click and drag across the whole thing. This will represent our container. And right up here, we know that the container has to be 1320, right? So I'm going to change that to be 1320, and then with my select tool, just go ahead and center that right in there. And now you can see if we zoom in there, we're perfectly centered. I'm going to use the minimize button up here to show you guys. And you can see now that at 1320, we have 15 pixels on the left and right, and then we've got 30 in between all 12 columns. So zooming out now, As you do your design, if you have a container fluid, again, I'm going to select here. What you want to do is select the frame, and in your layout guide, if you want something centered, you're going to go ahead and turn on this one here that is at 80 pixels. And if you're going to go full screen for another section, you would use the bottom one. So let me just kind of show you here. So I'm going to drag this one down here. So this might be for body copy that's going to be centered. And using the rectangle tool, I'm going to create across the top a couple containers. These are going to be full width containers. So 1440, that's our header. That's going to have our logo, for example, our navigation bar. And then down below it, you might have a hero banner, right? So hero banner, and then comes your actually centered content. So that's how we would use a container fluid for some images and a container for others. So obviously you do need to have the frame selected as you're working on each section and scroll down to the layout guides, and you would turn off the full screen one when you're working on this container and turn on the centered container. So this is container, up here is going to be container fluid. And then again, select the frames, go down to the layout guide, and you turn them on and off. That's how you're going to work with multiple containers. This is specific to Bootstrap, but obviously if you're using a different responsive system or you've built your own, then that's how you would actually go ahead and create multiple grid templates.